Martinelli. I think it was Podence who took the throw in, and now he's put the 2 yellow cards.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Gooners podcast. We have got actually a very special guest. But before that, my usual stuff, talking about what we are going to talk about. So we don't have Arun today, so no one's gonna, jump in and cut me off when I do the intro. But that does feel a little bit odd because I am usually used to someone cutting me off during the intro and not used to having this whole thing go in one take. So we are here to talk about the preview for our game, the Wolves game over the weekend, just before the World Cup break comes along, which is really weird. But I'm happy that there is something that could come along and let Arsenal stay somewhere close to the top. I'm not complaining right there. But we have got a good guest today. We have James from Sweet and Sour Soccer Channel. Hi, James. Welcome to the show. Bob is a big fan. Bob is a big fan of the channel, so he would be the person who should have done this intro. But who cares? I always steal the spotlight in this channel. So, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit more about your channel.
Yeah, so it's me and my good friend Scott. I've known him since high school. We are two Wolves fans. However, we run a general football channel. Very few videos we do on Wolves, except for when we're, sacking managers or in the relegation zone or something rubbish happens at the club. But we are a general fan channel, so we do Arsenal videos as well. If you like general content, go and check us out.
But yeah, for the listeners, please do go and check out the channel. Bob will do now. Bob is here, and so he will do what he wanted to do. Bob, go ahead now.
Mate, seriously, thank you very much, first of all, for coming down. It's a big pleasure for us. We've been following your channel for quite a while. Your predictions are all pretty good. You have some really cool videos. I like some of your scouting reports as well, in terms of the players who are coming in and possibly the players who went out from Wolves as well, like Gibbs White, for example. So, yeah, we've been following some of your videos. Appreciate all the things that you're doing. Yeah.
No, thank you. We try to cover everything. We talk about transfers of all clubs in Scotland as well. We do watch-alongs. So tomorrow I might be doing the Bournemouth versus Everton game as a watch-along. So we try and do as many of them as possible and try and cover all clubs. We don't do much Big Six. We try to cover the other 14, the clubs that don't get a lot of media coverage. But we will talk about big clubs as well.
Totally.
So, when we are doing this, Bob again will shout at me if I don't do this. So please do subscribe to our channel. Give us a like, give us a comment, follow us in our social media. Are you happy, Bob, that I did that?
Sort of, yes, so far.
But let's get this show on road. So let's start with this, James. Right? It's been at least looking from outside, it's been a difficult start for Wolves from what we can see. Right? You've already mentioned about the manager sacking, about how you're playing, and with the injuries and stuff. How are you feeling about the start of the season? What are your thoughts right now about the start of the season for Wolves?
It's not good at all. It's our worst start to the Premier League season since getting promoted 5 years ago. We've scored 8 goals so far this season in 14 games. That's relegation numbers. And the thing is, we've actually scored 3 goals in our last 2. So we actually scored 5 goals after 12 games, I think it was. So, the last couple of games have slightly flattered us. I did a video about a month ago after we lost 3-0 to Chelsea. Awful performance. I said that I think we're going down. I really did think we were going down. No goals. We've had to bring in Diego Costa, who's 34, can't get a game.
I was about to, make fun of Diego Costa. That Arsenal fans hate him. and
Yeah,
he has
yeah.
to. We have to take a shit at him when we can. So right now, like I was about to make that comment, like what do you expect with Diogo Costa up top? Like he's
Not
passive.
a lot. Not a lot. I mean, he's still suspended because of that headbutt against Brentford. So he won't be playing this weekend, thankfully for Arsenal fans.
But then you have the other villain. What's his name? He-chan. Oh, he scored last time and did this celebration, and I was losing my mind.
Yes, I think he scored after 6 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. But you
Yes.
did go on to win. I think you won 2-1 in the end in February. I think it was February, wasn't it? Yeah, we scored first, and then you won 2-1. But no, he's awful as well. Most of our attacking players are below average. That's a bit of a compliment. Yeah.
So if I were to just if you were to take a step back, were you sort of expecting such a downfall since the start of summer? I mean, there's been a lot of changes, as you know. I mean, Nuno apparently left, and then Bruno Lage took over, and then he had mixed results, sort of a thing, right through his tenure, if we were to judge it. But then, did you see signs of it coming through, from since summer?
I did. I'm not just saying that now because of the position we are in. If you go and watch our video of our season predictions back in August, I predicted Wolves to finish 14th. I got a lot of flack from Wolves fans. They couldn't believe that I put us to finish 14th. That prediction now is looking a little bit generous. I mean, I would take 14th now. I could see it coming. I didn't think we'd be in the position we're in. I thought we'd hover around 13th to 15th for most of the season. I didn't think we'd be here. I saw it coming just because the board's a mess. We've got no sporting director. That's slowly changing now with the new manager. He's bringing in his own staff. We are bringing in people that know about football. But for the last 3-4 years, we've just been relying on Jeff Shee, who doesn't know anything about football. Mendes as well. The only players we buy are Mendes clients. If they're not Portuguese, we don't buy them. We loaned out our striker Fabio Silva, who's gone to Anderlecht and absolutely ripped it up. We've got no striker. We buy a striker in the last week or two of the window. He tears his ACL on the opening day, so he's out for the season. And we've had to resort to getting a 34-year-old Diego Costa. We lost all 3 centre-backs in the same window. Roman Saiss, Willy Bowley, Connor Cody. You can't lose your 3 centre-backs in the same window. It's just a mess from top to bottom. I saw it coming. A lot of fans thought we were going to be competing for Europe again like last season. Not a chance. This season, we just have to stay in the league.
But on the playing style side of things, right? Like what I have been seeing different from previous years, at least around this time, is not just, is it about the personnel? I mean, I'm jumping ahead of the question, but the thing is, like, I'm seeing a lot of like long balls, long shots, not a lot of like wing play, not a lot of like running that Wolves are like we are used to. Like you guys used to be aggressive on the front foot kind of play, but now it's like all long balls and like all long shots. Even last game, I think you took like 7 long shots or something like that, some ridiculous amount. And it's weird. Is it because of the personnel that this is happening, or is it because of like Steve Davis being a caretaker, or is it because of like, okay, this is what we could do right now?
I just think it's frustration a lot of the time. You look at our starting 11, it's pretty bang average. I know we've got some very, very good players that could get into top 6 sides. Ruben Neves, Nunes, Jose Sarr. Probably only those 3, if I'm being honest. But when Neves picks the ball up from 25, 30 yards, he can either take a shot or, pass to Adama Traore. I mean, what would you choose? It's really lack of confidence in teammates, I guess. We don't create a lot. We spent 35 million on Guedes in the summer from Spain. That really hasn't worked out at all. I know he scored against Brighton in the last game, but that was his first goal of the season. He's been abysmal. Podence looks awful. Hwang Hee-chan is awful. Diego Costa's 34. You can't really expect him to come in and get 10 goals. It's just not good enough. The long shots is something that's annoyed me for a long time. Every single season, I think we must top the Premier League charts for attempts outside the box. And it looks cool when one goes in every 50, like, Neves. He scores from outside the box, I think, twice this season already. It looks great. But you can't keep scoring from outside the box every game. So it does need to change. Hopefully Lopetegui can change that. We'll see. I'm just so thankful that the World Cup is in the winter this year. Honestly, I'm so happy.
Bob, I need to ask you one question about Wolves before you go ahead. Right, like from Arsenal perspective, I know that I'm useless when it comes to all this intelligence talk about football. I'm here just for vibes and cool cool banter and stuff. It's always you and others who have provided the insight. So from your perspective, Bob, James have been talking about Wolves from a Wolves fan, but from an Arsenal fan, we have always had this kind of a love-hate relationship with Wolves. Like when they play against other teams, we root for them, but when they play against us, we always we hate this team. So how are you seeing this? Especially the sacking, and I think Julian, the manager who's coming in better. So your thoughts on that?
First of all, it's sort of an indifferent start to the season, as what James mentioned. But there are a lot of signs, as probably what I asked earlier. I too saw signs coming in. I felt probably that Guedes and Matheus Nunes, they are excellent signings, but unfortunately, the injuries and then change in personnel and all those sort of things meant that they've not been able to get a chance together to sort of click into a team. Also the fact that they shot themselves, when I look at as an outsider, they shot themselves too much into the foot of Mendes and their clients, sort of a thing. So it's sort of going completely drifting into one way, and now they've realized it's not probably the way to go, and then they're trying to get their way out. But I already feel it's going to be a pretty uphill battle for Julian. Should he come in? He is an excellent manager, to say, the manner in which he took the Sevilla team all the way there, and then he's been completely competitive with them. It's just quite a shame that the right manager has probably come in at the wrong time. He of course needs a lot of reinforcements. Even if they have to dream of staying up in the league, there has to be a lot of investment made during the winter window, where they have to buy in quality personnel and sort of convince them into a project and try and keep this team up. As an outsider, even if they manage to finish 16th or 17th, that would be a massive achievement from their
side. I'll take that. Thank you, please. Yeah.
But James, on the other side of it, right? If I have to ask you a question about Arsenal, I know we are top of the league. Even within our channel, we are very cautious of where we are. We are never gonna be one of those fans who are gonna be oh yeah, we are top of the league and all those things. We are still okay, top 4 is what we want, kind of a situation. But from someone who's looking from outside, what are your thoughts on Arsenal right now?
Very impressive. I think arguably the standout team in Europe right now, in terms of in terms of expectations to what you're actually achieving. I think it's one of the best stories in Europe. Don't get me wrong, there may be a team in Italy that is 5th who should be bottom, I don't know, but certainly in English football, you've got to say, it's just, along with with what Blackburn are doing in the Championship, Arsenal have smashed it. I predicted Arsenal to get top 4 at the start of the season. I thought they would quite comfortably get top 4. I thought this was the season that the Champions League music, the anthem, the theme tune comes back to the Emirates. I really did have conviction about that. Did I think you'd put up a title charge? No, in all honesty. But I think for Arsenal, you've just got to enjoy this. Don't get carried away. If you lose the next 3 games, you lose the next 3 games. You're going to get the top 4 this season, in my opinion. I think the World Cup could work well for you. I really, really do. I think because we know in previous seasons, Arsenal don't have a great winter. You tend to either just scrape through it, maybe a couple of draws, a couple of wins, a loss, or you just capitulate. I think this will be good for you. You've got a lot of players going to the World Cup, a lot of Brazilian players, of course, Granit Xhaka, the list goes on. Injuries could affect anyone. Manchester City could get 5 or 6 big injuries at the World Cup.
But it's Manchester City. They have a team that's waiting in the bench that could come in. Like literally,
they have a third team in the parking lot as well.
and they could play all 3 teams in Premier League, and they would literally have all 3 teams stay in the Premier League top 10. That's how.
No, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that. Obviously, Haaland's not going to the World Cup, but I mean, 2 big injuries. If you were to lose, let's say, Cancelo, De Bruyne, maybe a Foden, you would then look at it and go, do you know what? Maybe Arsenal have got a chance. But for Arsenal, I've been so impressed. A lot of the players that have stepped up to the plate this season is incredible. And what I like about Arsenal is that you haven't got one focal point in terms of goals. Your highest goal scorer is only 5 goals. And I believe that's Jesus, Saka, and Martinelli.
Yep, all 3.
But then you've got Odegaard, who's got 4 goals. You've got Gabriel, who's got 2. Saliba's got 2. Xhaka's got 4. Partey, I believe, has got 2. So it's spread thinly and nicely.
That's actually what?
Nelson has got 2 as well.
Well, 2 in 45 minutes, yeah.
But getting back to this game, though, James, right? Like, let's talk about like the build up to this game. From Wolves' perspective, you've had 2 red cards in the previous 2 games. Is this becoming a problem with discipline, or is this the frustration of the game that's taking toll on the players?
I mean, it's actually our 3rd red card of the season, if I'm not mistaken, which is not good. Collins got sent off earlier on in the season. We've never really had a problem with red cards in the Premier League. We get a lot of bookings. If you ever want to make easy money, put a bet on Wolves getting 3 or 4 red cards in a Premier League game. If you do that all 38 games in a season, you're making money back at least. Ruben Neves loves a yellow card. Connor Cody, Roman Sois, they used to love a yellow card. But I don't know I think a lot of it is frustration because the results aren't going our way. You don't have to make silly challenges when you keep winning games. You just let your football do the talking. When you're losing football matches, you either make mistakes because your confidence is low, or you want to set out a statement to the rest of your team and the opposition team that, you're not going to bully us today. Roy Keane used to do it. Roy Keane says openly, if I was having a bad game, I'd just go into someone and try and injure them and send a message. I love that kind of football, but it doesn't help when your players are getting sent off. So it could be naivety, lack of confidence. Maybe they're just not good enough. Lack of form. Is it concerning? Yes, because our squad isn't brilliant anyway. I mean, we are missing Costa and Semedo for this game specifically.
But Semedo's back, isn't it? Semedo's back.
Semedo's back, yeah.
Oh, because it was a last man challenge. It wasn't a serious challenge.
So in that sense, like as a segue from that, like what would be your starting 11 for this game? What would be Wolves' starting 11 for this game?
Jose Sarr in goal. It has to be. I don't know if he'll put Semedo straight back in. Maybe, I suppose he would have to
because I think also Johnny Otto got injured during the midweek, right?
He got injured and he's playing the worst football of his life, certainly in a Wolves shirt. So I think he'll play Semedo regardless, simply because the pace of Martinelli, the pace of Jesus, if he drifts, because we know Jesus does like to drift out left. So I think he'll play Semedo. Collins and Kilman will be the obvious centre-back partnerships. Left-back, it'll be between Bueno and Aït-Nouri. I think he'll play Bueno, who's played pretty well. He's one of the Wolves players that can hold his head up because Ryan Aït-Nouri played in the win over Leeds the other night in the Cup. So I think it will be Bueno. There is a slight chance, I'm hearing rumours, that Núñez could be fit. Don't know. But if he is, he walks into the team along with Neves, obviously. He may play Martinelli because Martinelli didn't get picked for the Portugal squad, surprisingly. So he may go for Martinelli just to give him a game before the break. And then the front three is just a take your pick kind of thing. Adama will probably start on the right. Podence maybe, but Goodez scored at the weekend, so it wouldn't surprise me, I'll be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if Goodez plays down the middle with Podence and Adama either side.
Okay. I can see that happening.
Yeah. I had a similar sort of lineup for Wolves.
Well, from Arsenal perspective, for
one thing that we learned from the Brighton game is that, although we could say that we are on top of the league and then, our first 11 is looking so good, there is enough concern for us to see that, the second 11 is absolutely rubbish, as much as the fact that, there are seasoned players out there like El Neni and, Holding and all those sort of players.
Don't put Holding into it. I saw the we didn't have a telecast for the game. I saw the highlights, and most of the goals that they scored, who was not in the box when they scored? Holding was not in the box. I like that guy. I have stood by him all this time, but in that game he was not even in the box when they scored, and he was outside the box like with his hands up, and I'm like, you are the defender, you should be there.
Let's be honest, we know at some point, Manchester City are going to kick us out, right?
Oh yeah, no, I'm not expecting a title.
Will go out now, waste some, I'd probably save some time and then give us some rest.
It's not about going out, Bob. It's not about going out that I'm worried about. It's about like how we went out. Okay, it's about what our backups are. Like, yeah, our Saliba and Gabriel is a good partnership, but then you see Holding doing that shit. I'm like, that's not good enough. And I see like what's his name, Nketiah doing that shit. I'm like, that's not good enough. So
at least you could appreciate his goal. Like,
and then I appreciate his goal. I appreciate the shot he took that ricocheted off the bar. But after that, he did fuck all, which is not something that I'm happy about. But yeah, go ahead with the starting lineup. That feels good to get that off my chest.
I was about to remove myself off the screen so you two could have your little your little debate.
Nah, come on, man. Come back in.
honestly, I'm the eternal optimist here, James. So I always hold the fort in terms of whatever the results go. So I was actually a bit mild in my criticism, but I know the fact that Holding was at fault. At most
are you bothered that you were out of the cup? In all honesty,
no, not at all.
See, I'm happy that we went out of the cup, but then the only regret that I had probably from the game is the fact that we lost at home. I would have ideally wanted to lose it away. That would have been okay. Yeah, but then
I ideally would have been like, let's not play this game. We are giving you this game 3 points. Yeah. Like, bye, just go. Like, we don't want to play this game. That's fine. Or else put all the kids in.
I think the only disappointment would now be after seeing the draw, seeing that Liverpool have to play Man City. There's not many big clubs in, so there might have been a chance that you could have actually got to Wembley and won it. But bigger picture, you don't want to be playing it because, if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe the FA have actually changed the rules like they did during COVID. I think it's still 2 legs. You don't want to take a risk on a quarter-final, second leg nonsense cup tie. Forget about it.
Totally. Yeah.
No, so yeah, again, Bob, starting 11. Do you see any
Starting
changes
11,
from the
okay.
last?
I just wanted to draw some comparisons from last year. So when you look at the Wolves Arsenal
Of
team,
course you do.
totally,
Go
mate.
ahead.
See, look at it. Really, I'm telling you, except for three players, it's almost the same team, but just look at the difference in form. So we had Lacazette up front. Now it's being replaced with Jesus.
I've erased that from my memory, like literally, like erased it. Like we never had Lacazette in my memory. Go ahead.
Lacazette up front, and then we had Tierney playing at left back, and that could potentially be altered with Zinchenko at the left back, and then we had our great Cedric playing in the right back. That's moved to
Ben
so.
White.
Yeah, Ben White playing there. Good that he got a call up as well. That was well deserved, I felt. And then our defense, pretty much, Willow has come into the defense to partner along with Gabriel, and that's been the only changes. The core or the midfield, and then the rest of the attack, pretty much is still the same in terms of how we face them. But then, what a world of difference, right? If I look at the Wolves team in comparison, half of them are gone, or either injured, or they've left. As what James said, their backline is gone, like which is hard to replace in a single window. Having played the likes of Socrates and Mustafi, those memories keep haunting me all the time. I feel more than anything. So I pretty much expect the similar lineup as what I said, Vijay. So Zinchenko would be in the left, and then obviously Saliba and Gabriel in the centre half, and then right would be White. Midfield would be Partey and xhaka. No more further debates about that. Front line is going to be threatening for Wolves. It's going to be Martinelli, Saka, and Odegaard in between, and with the Jesus up front.
Okay.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's talk about the key battles. I know I'll start with James again. You have shown this season that you are very susceptible to attacks from the wing, which is unfortunate because Arsenal attacks primarily from the wings. Do you see that being the primary battle area, or do you see the matchup between midfield, Neves and Partey and xhaka to be the key battle that will make the difference in the game?
I don't think it'll be one aspect that you potentially dominate us in. I think a lot of your joy will come down the wings. In previous years, that hasn't been the case for Arsenal, either because in the last couple of seasons, your team hasn't been anywhere near as good as it is now, but also in previous seasons, we played a back five where we could handle that threat down either flank. We've got Jesus, who just loves to drift, whether he's coming short for the ball and linking up with midfield, whether it's playing on the last man, whether it's dropping out to the left. He doesn't really tend to drop out to the right as much, but he can if he wants to. Collins and Kilman aren't the most mobile of centre-backs, so if they get caught out even half a yard, they don't have the pace or maybe the intelligence to recover that. You've got powerhouses in midfield of xhaka, who's getting forward more now. Partey looks like a reborn man, and then Odegaard is just the icing on top of the cake, really, isn't it, for want of a better phrase. Martinelli just looks unplayable. Saka is Saka. You know what you're going to get from him if he's not getting a goal or an assist. I know his numbers haven't been great, amazing this season. They've been pretty good. But what you'll get from him is hard work, high running stats. So you asked me what I think the biggest challenge for Wolves is going to be from Arsenal. My word, I don't know where to begin. All of it. I don't.
But what if I flip that question on the other side, right? What if I flip that question? Where do you think that Wolves could hurt Arsenal and take this game? We have been talking about Arsenal being stronger, but Premier League, anything could happen on any day. And if there is a play where Wolves could win,
in previous seasons, when smaller teams, lower down teams lose to Arsenal, it's a lot in a lot of cases, and you'll know this being Arsenal fans, you've had to suffer this. It's not as much the lower teams beating Arsenal. It's Arsenal beating themselves, making silly mistakes. You know, you go back to the famous Burnley game. Was it last season where xhaka's giving the ball away in your own box away at Turf Moor? I think it was. I think he lost like 3-0 that day or 3-1. There's so many occasions in the past where Arsenal beat themselves rather than lesser teams playing them off the park. I don't see that this season. xhaka's not making the same mistakes. He's not losing his head and getting sent off. We saw it against Chelsea. You know, Saliba tried to get into xhaka's head. I think in previous seasons, he gets probably a booking or sent off for that. But this time, he laughed at him. He got on with it.
We were raving about that ourselves, you know, when we were talking about the the review of the game. xhaka didn't get, you know, even a card. That was completely a full-blown surprise for us.
It's taken a long time, too long, but he's kind of maturing now and taking on that leadership role. But to answer your question, how can we get the better of you? We've still got in my opinion, not world-class players. We've still got very good players. Ruben Neves, like I said, Jose Sarr can put in a great performance. Nunes, Adama Traore on his day of days can cause problems. Do I expect us to win? No. But in the Premier League, anyone can beat anyone, you know. Yeah. If you'd have said that Forest would have beat Liverpool a couple of weeks back, even though Liverpool are playing very poor, no one probably would have believed it. And then Leeds go and beat them, who hadn't won a game since August 28th, I think it was. Yeah. We can beat you. I think if we do, it'll be a scruffy 1-0, a 30-yard free kick from Neves or something stupid like that, or a silly penalty that you give away. But I don't see it. I see Arsenal running out. I'll save my prediction till later.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The crowd would be... If it was at the Emirates, I'd say 5-0. I'd genuinely say 5-0. As we're at home, you know, new regime, you never know.
And it's up to, like, also, like, it's going into the break. So you might have, like, you know, the voice up in the stands. Bob, sorry, James. Sorry to cut you off. But, yeah, Bob, the same question of where Arsenal could win it or where Wolves could win it. Like,
I think what James mentioned, I mean, I'm really proud of how our wingers attack. Both Martinelli and Xhaka have too much pace on them. I think it's going to cause a lot of problems to them. I remember the bizarre red card. It's still fresh in my mind from last year when Martinelli got 3 fouls altogether and then he got a red card at once.
Yeah,
one seen that before. I think that was. I think the referee made a mistake, didn't he? I don't think you can get booked twice in the same passage of play. Or am I wrong?
3 fouls. He pointed 3 times and then gave a red card straight away. Mate, that was out of it.
Yeah, but there has been a lot of stuff like that happened. Like, you know, the other time where someone clipped. David Luiz was running.
Yes.
Something again. Down and David Luiz got a red card. I'm like, what the fuck's happening here? Yeah, go ahead.
So totally, such things could happen. But
I think as well, didn't Bernd Leno got sent off at the Molineux
once before,
2 years ago?
Yeah.
So, you do like a red card against us. I will say that you do like playing 10 men against us. So if that happens, you never know. You never know.
I was going to say that Martinelli was causing enough problems even last time around when we played, and that's probably, you know, got into. I don't exactly remember who he fouled last year, but then that, you know, sort of works against us. But even going into this game, I feel our midfield is going to be pretty vital if we were to stop any build-up play or, you know, any long-range shots from Neves or something. You know, Neves has got a rocket in him every now and then, as we've seen. So we just got to stop some of those and try and break down the Wolves midfield, nullify them, sort of a thing, if we were to approach the game. And similarly, if I were to look at Wolves, for instance, I would be really looking forward to see what's the impact Adama has got to do. I mean, it's quite bizarre still if we look at it that he went and joined Barcelona for half year. And then, you know, coming back, I don't think he has quite set in here yet. I definitely don't think he's got his head in completely. I feel, he feels lost at times. Possibly, I feel that he might actually put himself, a bottle of oil over him, make sure that no one really touches him, and then goes on to run around the flanks. And yes, as James, I agree with you. On his day, he can be completely menacing, and that's the sort of worry that I have if I look at the whole team. And
no one's worried about Podence. Somehow, Podence always gives me the player who usually troubles Arsenal kind of.
I probably would go for Guedes and possibly the new signing Neves as well. They're both good players. They are well established. I've seen a lot of Neves play for Sporting. He's a fantastic player to start with. So I'm just hoping that he isn't recovered fully from his injuries and all those sort of things, and he doesn't put 100% performance if we want the results to go down our way.
Okay. So let's wrap this up with predictions. I'll start with James. James, what's your predictions for the game?
I'm going to say 2-0 Arsenal. I think it'll be a bit of a gritty game. I don't think it'll be like a Forest 5-0. I think 2-0 Arsenal.
Okay. Bob, your predictions for the game?
I still feel we'll probably concede a goal. I'm not convinced yet that we might be keeping a clean sheet. There might be a lack of concentration somewhere. We were flawless against Chelsea, but then I still don't have the confidence. We might still concede a goal, but 1-2 is what I can think of. And James, I looked into your show. The predictions that was given by your mate Scott was 3-0 Arsenal.
He said 3-0, yeah. We give him a little bit of stick because we do say that he is a closet Arsenal fan. He has got a soft spot for Arsenal. So
we got to bring him on, Vijay. We got to bring him on.
Yes, definitely.
I don't see us scoring. We've scored 8 goals this season, and I believe we've scored 3 penalties this season. Yeah. I think 2 goals have also been from outside the box. It's not great. You never know in football. You might give away a cheap penalty that gets us a goal, but we're not going to break you down. Put it that way. It's either
as an Arsenal fan who has suffered from PTSD, who is still suffering from the PTSD over the years of following Arsenal Football Club, we always expect Arsenal to concede at least a goal. So there's no chance we are going to predict a clean sheet as easy as others. Yeah.
I'm going to make one more bold prediction here. I feel Jesus might actually get on the score sheet.
Okay. It would be great to see him break his duck. But yeah, it's been amazing. I think that's we have reached the end of the show. James, thanks for joining in. Again, for everyone listening, please go ahead and follow Sweet and Sour Soccer channel. They have amazing content. Please go and subscribe right now. And also, before going, just like, subscribe, and comment in your thoughts in our channel too. So thanks, guys. Thanks for joining in. It's amazing to have talked this preview with you all.
Thank you.
Bye for now.